Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Anna. I'm the founder of Second Careers, and today we have Charles with us today. Charles is a software engineer who is new to tech and is so excited to share his story, as you could see by his facial expressions. So, Charles, please introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, what you're working on, and a fun fact about yourself.
Well, okay. Well, as she said, my name is Charles, and where I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Currently working on, I'm working on a few things. Currently working on an app for a new company, startup company called Fulfilled, and I'm also working on content, teaching my students vanilla JavaScript. Yes, I have students. I do, believe it or not.
Yeah. And what's one fun fact about yourself?
I got to answer. One fun fact about myself. I mean, you call this second career, but for me, it's more like maybe 10th career. I've lost count. Uh, one fun fact. One fun fact. Well, does that count as a fun fact? I've had a lot of jobs.
Yes, yes,
Is it fun?
absolutely.
Is it
I
fun or
mean,
sad?
I think it's fun. I personally have been very enthusiastic to switch jobs every year, almost when I was working full time in the industry. So, whether it's by choice or not, I think it is more fun than anything else because you essentially experience different, you know, cultures, people, work types. You learn a lot about yourself, I guess is one way you could say
Oh, I
it.
got stories.
Yeah.
I got
So
stories.
let's dive right in. Let's
Uh-oh.
start by walking us through, when you decided to get into tech to do the boot camp, what motivated your decision?
Well, I was at the time tutoring. I was doing some tutoring and teaching, and I was tutoring at an agency, and I saw one of the people there. He had some computer code on his screen. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm going through a boot camp right now." And I was like, "Well, that's cool." I've always been kind of vaguely interested in coding, and he said, "Yeah, get up to a boot camp." I was like, "What boot camp should I do?" And he's like, "Go to Nashville Software School. That's where I wish I would have gone." I said, "Okay." So I hit up Nashville Software School. But that's really only the tip of the iceberg. If we're gonna talk for hours here and really lay out the full story, it's always been an itch. I Even in high school, I took a C++ course, or I liked playing with code on my TI-83 calculator in high school. Because believe it or not, back then, kids, we didn't have smartphones. We downloaded games and apps on our TI-83. You know what I'm talking about, do you?
It was this big calculator and it had so many buttons, and I did not download anything on it. I
You
didn't even
didn't?
know. But I was not a huge math fan. So I basically used as little as possible of the
Well, that's where
calculator.
you missed. Like I learned, you can make programs that would do the equation. Like all you had to do was put in the numbers and it would do the equations. Oh, it's
Yeah.
great.
I
What
mean,
a
that's why you
time
teach
saver.
math and I am
And you
doing
could
this
download
podcast.
Tetris.
You could? Okay. Well, there is a
Yeah, there
lot
was
going
Tetris.
on.
Like racing games. Ooh. I'm saying before
Well,
smartphones, you had to get creative.
that's true. I waited until like that first smartphone came out when you could do the snake game. I started there.
You didn't have like a Nokia, a little block Nokia phone. Boy, I'm really dating myself today.
Yeah.
The Nokia block, you could throw at somebody and also play Snake.
Yeah. Exactly. We started there. Yeah.
Okay, so now, but we both talked about Facebook, right? We both were in like the first
Yes.
generation Facebook.
Yeah, so I started college in 2004 and Facebook launched pretty much around that time, a year or two before then. And it was still requiring EDU addresses. So,
Mm-hmm.
I got on social media, not as early as obviously my brother, who's 7 years younger, or even, kids these days,
It's
but
these days.
early enough. But walk me through what happened once you saw your friend kind of coding. What happened next?
Well, I just kind of saw him, and I didn't do it right away. I was just kind of thinking about it, like, should I do it? Should I do it? And I finally took the plunge. And also it was kind of encouraging. I liked the stay at home aspect of it and the challenge, quite frankly, because I was kind of plateauing in my other stuff. I felt like when it came to high school math, like I've literally taught it with a fever. Uh, of course,
Yeah.
I wasn't in I wasn't with the students personally. It was online kids. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Stay
Like I
safe.
say sometimes, if you can do something with your eyes closed, maybe it's time to learn something else. Yeah. So tell me a little about, some highlights from the boot camp.
A lot of highlights. I one thing that shocked me about tech that I've ended up really enjoying is it's a team sport. You know, NSS told me this is not just you sitting on your computer, let me in taking by myself, nerd. It's a very collaborative sport, and they said you're going to be working with people, a lot of projects. And at first I was like, nah, but then I liked everybody I worked with, and there'd be times where even if I was working on my own stuff, I would just like call somebody up and do a Zoom with them and just talk to them because I felt like I was alone coding. I needed somebody. I need a
You seem
buddy.
like you're a social person, even if you're a teacher working from home most of the
Well,
time.
I had become a little more antisocial during the pandemic, like many people, a little less
Naturally.
comfortable. But yeah, the boot camp kind of helped me get back out to where I was a lot more social with people, actually, believe it or not. Working in tech has kind of brought that back out of me. And it really kind of helped me get over some of the stuff I've been dealing with during the pandemic, the loneliness or isolation or talking to someone else besides a kid.
Yes, because there's so many things you can talk about. Um, okay, so during the boot camp, you were learning a lot of new things. What helped you kind of learn at that pace so quickly? What?
Learned quickly. I guess that's a relative term, but I took a year long boot camp and it was part time. And so like we would do like Monday night, Tuesday night, and we would have a group like Wednesday or Thursday, and then Saturday morning that was our boot camp. Uh, what helped me learn quickly? Well, one, having a year to do it was nice, even if I wasn't like the pressure was kind of off since I was doing it part time. I was teaching during the day and coding at night. One
Yeah,
thing was
that is a lot easier if you're doing it part time because you can have things spread out, I guess.
the one thing we did was one repetition. NSS is really good at getting you into a skill fast, but the rep and you're overwhelmed at first, but then the repetition kicks in and it starts to make a lot more sense.
Hmm.
The thing that kept me going at nights was usually talking with people, having fun, making silly pictures with my group's faces on it, uh, things like that. Group name. Just we did whatever we could to pass the time. And if I'm being real, job anxiety.
Hmm.
Like I better learn this, because it wouldn't hurt to have a job.
Yes, exactly. And that
Yes.
is obviously part of your motivation, right? We all
That was
have
the
like
end goal. So
different
yeah.
different things that are important.
Well, I was reading your LinkedIn post and I saw how you showed someone filming a movie. There was
Yeah,
a
I was
movie
so
about
impressed.
the job search, and during this boot camp, like I kind of got over like not a lot of like horror movies scare me anymore because the ultimate fear during this year was, can I get a job? Like that's what
Right.
I want to see a horror movie about, the job search. That's that's the scary right there.
So, okay, let's just to recap. You were working as a teacher for a number of years. You had different kinds of jobs before then, but you decided you wanted to change and to build something, a career that's a little more reliable and somewhere where you can grow. So you saw a friend coding and you're like, what's that? And then you joined the boot camp. And for a year, you did part time program where you learned how to code with other new developers. So here you are, finished the boot camp, you have these new skills. What does your life look like after that?
I was incredibly lucky. I am still incredibly lucky. I was one of the few that actually got a job kind of off of my final capstone. So there was really only a few days after boot camp that didn't have a job lined up,
And
which
tell
is
me what
amazing.
happened while you were in the last part of the boot camp and when you received the offer. Like, what does luck look like for you?
What does luck look like? It was a lot of hard work to get to the luck, but yeah, still, I don't think I acknowledged it was luck because there's a lot of people that worked harder. But what it looked like, the one thing I knew, I knew the main reason for boot camp, believe it or not, was not coding, because like that's what Code Academy could be for. That's what all this other stuff is for. A million ways to learn code right now. What I knew the boot camp was for, and what they told me said that they told me Nashville Software School, they work with you on connections, on helping you build your resume, and on showing you the stuff you need to do to get into business. Stuff that you can't really get necessarily from a coding webpage. So early on, I immediately started working on my resume with Ashley from NSS. Shouts out to Ashley. She tremendous source. She helped me clean up my resume and helped me get started on LinkedIn, which that was something again you can't really be taught on a coding website. LinkedIn, I can confidently say, was instrumental in getting where I was because while I was coding, I was like showing screenshots from my code, screenshots from my work, trying to build a presence, going, hey, I'm still going through boot camp, but I still exist, and started building a following there. And ultimately, I think we talked about it before. It was really a joke I made on somebody else's page that helped me get in the door with
Mm-hmm.
Fulfilled.
Yeah.
Uh,
So you got an offer at this company called Fulfilled, which you're wearing the hat. So how
it's subtle.
did the person that worked at Fulfilled notice you?
So, well, he had I remember Dan Hetrick, of course, CEO, Fulfilled. Shouts to Dan, tremendous guy. Always sends me texts and wanting to know how I'm doing. Just a wonderful CEO. I just had to say that real quick, plug. But a really, really great guy. He's worth plugging. So I don't know if he was just on my feed. I was scrolling down, and he had a picture of a refrigerator, and he said this refrigerator was in a room he was at during a business meeting, and had all these crazy magnets on it. And he was like, I've learned more from this fridge than I have this entire meeting. And so I was like, okay. So I posted back. I said, it looks like you just took a course in friginometry, right? Some good old math humor there. And he responded back. And I think I made some even lamer joke about things were cool because, cold temperature. It's hilarious. And he just sent me a DM out of the blue. He's like, hey, I've looked at your page. I think you could be a good fit for our company. Uh, he just gave me his number. He's like, call me tomorrow. Let's see what's going on. I'm like, well, that's weird. I'm like,
Mm-hmm. Was
huh?
that the first?
But I was like, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
Was it the first message you received like that?
Yeah, I'm not used to that. I'm just like I get from like people that like been in the game for a minute, but I'm just still going through boot camp. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Best case scenario, we talk. Worst case scenario, he asks me how I'm fixed for insurance or something. So
Mm-hmm. And then
we
what
talked.
happened?
And we chatted, and he was just like, okay, you seem like a nice guy. Uh, Got to make sure you know your tech though. So um, he set me up. He was like, set me up with, like, all right, talk to Joel, because at the time Joel was actually, he was going to be part of our demo day for NSS. He was interviewing students, looking at their capstones. So I messaged Joel. I was like, hey, can I be a part of this? Can I jump in, give me an interview, demo day? He's like, well, my demo day is full, but hey, get back with me. We'll do something after that. And I waited a week, as customary, not trying to be, you don't want to call them like a few days after trying to get a date, right? You don't want to do that. You got to play it
Generally
somewhat cool.
not.
And
Got to set a reminder
so
to.
after a week, and after a week, I figured he was busy, busy guy, things going on. I just shot out another message like, hey, come on, let's if you're still down, that's fine. Otherwise, whatever, let's chat. And so I think I talked to him. I think I talked to another guy in engineering. There's either a set of like one or two interviews, and I talked with my other coworker. Oh, shouts to Isabel Hollander, another NSS grad. She's doing great.
So it sounds like the founder fulfilled was connected with NSS and was actively like in the ecosystem, and therefore you seeing his post or him seeing your post, like that would have happened because he was already plugged in through like following other people from NSS and maybe having employees there. Is that accurate?
Uh Honestly, I don't really. I don't even know if he was my friend at the point or like a far person following. It's really LinkedIn's kind of a blur for me sometimes. But I think yeah, something like that. And I think there's one thing in LinkedIn. There's a difference between just putting your name out there and just following like getting like sending DMs to people saying job please and actual just real genuine. I've had people do that for me now even.
We got to start a company called Job Please, and it's going to be you sending DMs called Job Please.
Like we laugh, but I do have DMs in my history where someone was like, "Hello, Charles." Like I accept the request. Like, how are you? I am a tech person. I need a job. I'm like,
Yeah, I have to, and I
ugh.
don't respond because that's weird. But
But I think
that's going to be our new comedy troupe called Job Please.
job please.
That's going to be the newest popular meme after the This Is Fine one.
Anna, you can't type with your hands out. You can't type with your hands out.
Oh my god, that's
But
awesome.
I
Yeah,
think that's the thing about social media. So many people just see it as like a negative, or I just see it as a negative place. I don't see it as a negative place. I see it as a place where we're gonna have just fun interaction. You know,
yeah.
like if that interaction didn't lead to a job, cool. I still had fun.
Did you do any other postings before getting on LinkedIn? Were you on LinkedIn before the boot camp? What was your experience with online presence?
You know, of course, back in the mid late aughts, I did the whole Facebook thing pretty hard. Um, I'd stopped doing a little bit, just kind of generic. And actually, I saw I was on LinkedIn when I joined NSS. I was like, really? I forgot. Apparently I joined LinkedIn a few years back for some reason.
Everyone did. It has 1 billion members at this point. Most of them are not active.
I mean, I'm on Instagram. I think somebody told me to sign up for it, and I think I'm on it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I am. Probably, but I don't.
So you did Facebook, but that was a while back. But basically,
Facebook
because you understood
does.
that, doing a boot camp was not just for the skills, it was out literally for the community and the like support of the actual training of what does a career in tech look like how do you start it, right? um was that like an extra prompt to start being active on LinkedIn?
Yes, that was because my they people told me said, "Hey," and I agree with it. Everybody like, "Oh, you can code. Oh, you got some capstones. Cool. So do millions of other people every day." You know, people are working on like great capstones right now that probably could blow mine out of the water. You know, people like everybody and their moms learning React. What makes you stand out?
Mm-hmm.
What makes you worth hiring? Like what I can find like someone, because those, especially those easy applies. Those easy applies, like in 10 minutes, like 1,000 people have already clicked apply now. So you
In
got to
my
find ways to make them
opinion,
stand out. Yeah.
all of that could be banned and we would be better off for it. But
Hot
LinkedIn
take.
makes money for that.
I
I
have a
don't
hot take
even
about easy apply though. I do. I do, and I do. I'm sorry I had to
Yeah,
interrupt.
yeah.
To me, easy applies were always quick productivity boost. I could say, "Hey, I did something because I applied to be a Home Depot software engineer today. I feel good."
Yes, and there is a video that, once David Roberts started doing those videos, that's literally what he was making fun of because he was just seeing probably hundreds, close to 1,000 people doing the same thing. And I get that. And that's why I'm so passionate about kind of shifting the narrative so people actually put their time into those activities that make sense for them, right? Like, because if you tell me that I don't want to work like an hourly job, which is a good topic because fulfilled is similar, right?
There's
But
something there. Oh, we're getting there.
for those people that want to move into a higher paying career, build wealth, build skills, or maybe they are in a great paying career, but they are just not interested in it anymore. Tech can tech can be an answer for a lot of different people, right? Whether you're making $10 an hour or 100K a year, like tech can still be a place where you build something that is fresh and different for yourself. Um, what was I saying? Right. So if you do want to do that, like create something new, I don't know how clicking a button helps you accomplish that because it just like doesn't connect.
It's it's a tech is a very weird thing. It's There was a lot of people in our boot camp who, if you asked them why they did it, like it was always money.
And that's a good start. You got to
And it
start
is. I mean, oh
somewhere.
yeah, I wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for the money. But at the same time, if I didn't really get a kick out of it, like if I didn't really have a desire for it, I would have been like those people, those other people, and left the boot camp. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, yes, the paycheck's great, but you got to have a passion for it, or you are not gonna stick around it.
Yeah. It's very
Like,
50
it's for
50.
me, tech's not even a question of intelligence. It is, do you have the mindset, do you have the temperament and the passion to stay in it?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's something that gets missed in a lot of the marketing sometimes. And therefore is just confusing, right? So when people focus on skill building, they miss the fact that you can build a skill in anything in the world. You can go work in the forest and chop trees if that's a skill you want to learn. It's not skills that you're building. It's like a mindset of building something new in an innovative space. So a lot of times when I think about tech, the reason that I'm in the industry is because it's innovative and there's always space to create something different. For example, an industry on the other side of the spectrum is law and medicine. You don't want to be innovating on people real time, right? That would be very dangerous. But in tech, you can do that by changing something in a digital experience and you're not going to like kill them, right? So it's a different mindset. So other industries are actually integral to like sustaining life, like medicine and law to sustaining order in society. But tech is an
That,
industry that is continuing to influence those other necessary industries. However, the influence is innovation. So your mindset
gotcha.
around, I'm going to go into an industry where I'm going to create new opportunities for myself, um, because you can do that with skills in coding or marketing or whatever. But in the tech industry, like that's the primary starting point, the mindset of I'm going to create something different and I'm going to own it and like
It's
take
fun.
more leadership in my own life and career. And that's literally what tech is built for, those people that want to do that.
Said it better than
That's
I
my
would.
spiel.
I would have just gone off on old anecdotes, and you'd have to kind of rein me back in. So
But basically, the mindset that you came in there, was there something that influenced you having that mindset? Because not everyone understands that going into a boot camp, going into tech, it's not just the skills, which are a very small part of the process. It's this mindset of like, you're going to build something different.
I need a job. I need a job, a full job. I'm old. Like I've played games with other jobs and other people and stuff like that. I've been through all the ego or whatever, and just I was at a point where the teaching tutor thing is going good, but it wasn't financially sustainable.
Okay, so tell us about Fulfilled. Like, why was it a match for you?
When I say I'm incredibly lucky, because a lot of people for their first job, let's be real. It is strictly the check. They might not really care about what the company does. They're just there for the check, until they get something better. What really lucked out is when I told Fulfilled in the interview, I really believe in what they said. I actually meant it. Not like everybody else says, like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm
Hmm.
so passionate about integration and nobody cares about that. Or someone do, my apologies to them. Fulfilled, their slogan is serving the underserved. And what Fulfilled is doing is where we're creating a whole new system to improve employee retention, to improve benefits, to make things better for people who work those hourly jobs, those where they feel are thankless and not really respected or appreciated. Jobs that I've worked for decades. And like I told you earlier, I got stories. And those stories are what turned me on to these people, because there are so many more stories than mine where like people have been just disrespected, trampled on. Like, you put on a vest for said retail company and you're nobody. And Fulfilled, they see that. Like the guys like Dan and Matt, they see that. That's when they founded, or Dan Hetrick and Matt Allen, they saw that. And they said, hey, we got to think of a way to help those people, help those people out, because those are people, again, they suffered during the pandemic. I was so lucky during the pandemic to not be in a retail spot or a warehouse spot, but because, well, I got warehouse stories too. Wolf, but they're all about helping those guys out, and that's what drew me to Fulfilled. Because not only am I passionate about having a paycheck or passionate about learning a tech, I'm also passionate about what they're trying to do with these tech skills. I want to get out there and help these people who I was at a few years ago. I really want to try to, because try to make them have a better day. More than just, here's a pizza party, 30 minutes later, get back to work. You know,
And of all the
something
companies
so much
that
more than that.
were in the ecosystem, on LinkedIn, that were connected with other Nashville um, bootcamp grads, you were someone that, connected with them. And they were a company that actually was building something that, like, out of all the things they could be building, like, this is something that you truly connected with as well. So I think that's really interesting and notable that there's this extra connection of not just, okay, this is your first paid job, you're doing real work experience on a team, becoming an engineer. And on top of all of that, it actually is a company that it's creating something meaningful that you experience yourself.
Yes, we talk about this a lot. Um, I do believe, it wasn't coincidence. If that sounds cheesy or corny, I believe, like, a lot of what I've done in life has kind of led to this moment. If that sounds kind of lame or not, but I do believe that.
Yeah.
I
So,
believe a lot of this stuff led up to it.
yeah, exactly. And I like to talk about the job search and career and just in general life and like an ecosystem. So we're not like lone soldiers or like lone people like on an island. There's always people and things around us. So look around, see what's happening, and ideas will come up. Um, I like to wrap up with a piece of advice that you like to give anyone that's a new developer or just entering the tech space.
I guess, I mean, it's stuff I've already touched on. Um, One thing I think about a lot is what made me stand out from you, and just kind of a lot of people, is just a lot of people drawn to this industry aren't the most extroverted sometimes. Like, there are so many great people I was in the boot camp with that taught me so much, and that they're such great people, but they don't like to put themselves out there. They're nervous about it. And the whole time I was like, man, you guys are fantastic. What you do is great, and you're good people to be with. Like, I could shout out their names right now, and some of their names, and embarrass them. I could, because they'd be like, why are you talking to me about? They were great people. I worked with some great, fantastic human beings, and they just didn't want to put themselves out there. They're nervous. And I don't know, I guess this is just like, put yourself out there. Like, even if you don't think it's the best product or the best you, or you look like, I'm already nervous about the stuff I said in this podcast. I felt it was all vague or nonsensical, a lot of it. And my beard looks all weird and all, but I'm still putting myself out there because I want to help people out and make them, or honestly make myself known. I want a job, so I put myself out there, and I wish all my super cool friends would do that too, because I want cohort 21 in National Software School to take over this industry. I love them all. I do. They were great people. They
Okay,
still are great people.
awesome. We're gonna help you do that as well.
Okay.
Uh, Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I feel it will help a lot of people understand the greater context of working in tech and how they can get luck to work for themselves.
Shouts to, again, to National Software School. Always Dr. T. Asia Washington, you're fantastic. All of you.